This is Serenum.
GI Group is the first Italian multinational company in the HR services. We are across 27 countries with the direct presence and almost 50 with the Alto partnership. We cover all the HR services, so I would say we move from the search and selection for all the levels, so for temporary and permanent staffing, professional, middle management and executive search. And then we extend our services with all the other types of services related to HR industry, so training, outplacement and HR consulting, and depending on the country, it can be key relevant also the outsourcing business. My role and my function, I'm the deputy head of the business innovation department. We are like a team of internal consultants working on business transformation project. I would summarize that we want to make the life easier for candidate and worker. So this is one of our main goal. On the other side, I can say that of course we have to make business. So on the other side, we have to try to combine this goal with actual our productivity and so also client satisfaction. So we have, let's say, these three objectives very clear in mind. Your product Serenum actually can help in several of real application or to get this objective. The first one that we highlighted, we saw very close and also very easy, also just to have a phased approach, was for managing the shift in case of a specific type of contract in which when we change the timing, it is actually something that we have to manage also in terms of compliance. So we need to track it, we need to have something compliance by law. The main use case in which we found in your product, in the easy way in which you can manage a shift and manage all the communication between, let's say, all the parties involved, we found the best use case for starting to have this tool into our process, into our business. And the second point was the fact that actually you can combine also the voice of the candidates, the voice of the workers, because they can in some way manage availability, choice, and all this stuff. And we know that this is in the market is not so easy, But in any case, if you find a way in which we can facilitate these processes, again, something more soft, so less related to let's say productivity or all this stuff, but mostly related to actually our idea of a labor market and our strategic goal. To give you an example of how we were managing the process before the adoption of Serenum and then how we changed it. When we changed the timing of the shift, we need to advise in advance the worker by law. And depending on the contract, again, we have to get something like a signature. So we have our own custom system, our own portal in which we manage the e-signature. So we put in place a process in which actually we have to create a contract when we change this type of timing, send to candidates, get the answer, the CD signature, and then align the client with all these let's say reporting. We were using just the platform to communicate directly through the app this change of timing. We got to manage this condition like an agreement. So we had a sign off with the candidates during the, let's say, the onboarding of these services. So they were accepting just once that in the future GI Group will send them with this process and with this platform this type of change in the shift timing, and this was compliant by law. So then we moved, we really make it very simple in terms of process, and we actually got a huge efficiency. So we actually moved from, again, 1 day or two person to mostly a couple of hours, one person each Friday. So we got a very important, in case of high volumes mainly, very important result in terms of process efficiency. A real leverage for having better candidate and worker experience. So we got the result that in some case the workers that were working with competitor on the same client, they went to the client asking, come on guys, I would like to have the same process, the same application as G Group is doing. So this was a very, very good result that of course we were able to achieve also thanks to you and your product and your project. From one side, it's very simple, from one side, easy to use, but really, covering all the main topics, the main feature. It's based on Salesforce, and sometimes all these, let's say, big product, they have something like a huge impact. You did it for our business. So you actually put, let's say, you leverage on the real advantage of using Salesforce, putting the real key feature that are needed to manage shift management. So this to me is the very added value. On the other side, you have put in the heart of your, let's say, product, the digital communication. You think that apart from having this, let's say, shift management tool in the back end, the key topics is use digital also to communicate between all the stakeholders involved in the process. And this mainly when there is a player like we do intermediation. So this is actually fundamental. So the other one is to disclose a situation which we have high, let me say, rotation of the same worker between the several clients. And this is also, again, is an opportunity also to add an additional level of services to our client. And the third is facilitate and also speed up our innovation in terms of, I would say, marketplace. Even we have a different idea of marketplace, because we don't want to be, we think that our human added value, our competencies is core. So we don't want to become, let me say, a marketplace. But for some specific type of profile, for some specific clients, we want, for example, to have something like a self-service for picking some workers already qualified, already evaluated by GI Group. So we think that using, let's say, your platform, integrating, of course, also with ours other digital channels, can be something that we can boost our evolution on this topic. We had a very good feedback from our internal employee. They got by themselves a very advantage in the process, and we are not a company that squeeze too much the efficiency. So even we got efficiency, we are not the one that then cut the person just to. So we prefer. We think that being a business in which sales and delivery are very related, we think that if we got efficiency, this can be increased the top line, so increase the revenue. So, and this is also the best way in which we feel them, the real value of efficiency. The feedback was that this will help them, in the real life. Will help them also to manage with more quality candidate and client, and was a very easy to use tool. So again, we did the training, but they feel it very easy to use also. For the activities of change of shift, we actually got 80% of efficiency in our activities. This is something great. Again, also if you consider the client, we have almost 10,000 shifts by week. So this is something, again, very good achievement. And in terms of project management, we were able to manage all the timeline, all the constraints that we put in terms of our goals, and also we shared with the client we were using for the first pilot and adoption. And again, also this was a great achievement, because again, we also use your product not just for an internal, let me say, capability, but also as a services that we want to use and disclose with the client. Obviously, the risk is higher, and if then we get the result, also the achievement is higher, and this was the case. the value that Serenum can give is related to your engine for suggesting. For example, it's really powerful the fact that you can use some conditions, some rules that will put some ranking, will give some ranking to the workers according to where to start from in case of ask for availability. This is something that we have not covered yet with the full potential that I think your platform can give. And when I was mentioning that now we would like to move again to HoReCa and retail sector, this feature will get very, very, very relevant. And again, I think we want to use completely as much as possible your platform also to get business benefit also for this scenario. And the project setup actually was very, very fast. We took almost 3 months from the original workshop of scoping till the first, we shift in production. So it was a very tight timing, and also we got it. What we really appreciated from your team actually was the fact that from one side they were, I would say, very strict in terms of professional, in terms of managing what was, considered in scope, and this, of course, has to be that way. On the other side, it was also flexible in some way, to even some, more detailed requirement during the project was a bit different from what we had in mind at the beginning. They was open to understand if even the detail is different. The overall effort was close to the original one, so we got it. And I think this is the key point to get a real, satisfactory project. Then when, again, the same was when we went live, we had a period like post-production support in which you were, still in a project setup, in a project approach. And this again was really useful because, of course, as you know, there can be something like a queue, a follow-up, of course, is needed. And then we moved to standard business, standard services, and again we are cooperating with you with high level of support services. I would say that the 3 phases were properly managed because, of course, the competencies and also the timing, the way in which we have to manage timing is different in all the 3 phases that I was mentioning, and actually together we got it to manage in the proper way. One is the basic. So the basic means when we have to manage a replacement. The replacement can be by hours or also for the client. So this is something that, of course, is standard in our business, and if we are able to monitor, to get it in advance the risk, and again to be as fast as possible, then to replace the person when this happens. Of course, this is a real opportunity for us to increase it. The other part of the second type, let's say, of opportunity to work on it is when I was saying when we want to maximize the rotation of the worker across clients. So let me say in which we can use loyal candidates all across different clients, and all the other side is also able to facilitate for us the push process. That means that when we know that we have some candidate is fitting client needs, we can propose in advance some candidates. And the third area is more, let's say, midterm, so we are not still there. Again, it was what I was mentioning about the fact that we can also give a pool of already qualified candidates to ask, let's say, availability in self-service.